Well, welcome, and I have a special guest, Brooke, and I'm so excited to be cooking with you. We've never gotten to do this
I know.
before. But we are going to talk a little bit about party food and different things like that, and Brooke has a great idea. And so I think I'm just going to kind of step aside and let her take the floor. I may ask you some questions or whatever, but just welcome, Brooke, and thank you for coming to my home this evening.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited for this because, like most of you, I've been watching the videos as we've been posting them, and it's been such a pleasure to get to see you cook with people and all of that kind of thing.
Now you get to be in the kitchen.
I get to be in the kitchen, which I'm really excited about.
Which I like to call the white kitchen.
It is a white kitchen, and I love the countertops too. So what we're going to be making today is one of my favorite things to take to a party, and we just call them hot roll sandwiches at our house. So you start with King's Hawaiian rolls. You can't go wrong if it starts with that, correct?
No.
And we're just going to cut them all the way in half, this whole dozen. If I'm taking it to a party, I usually they do come in a 24 pack. And so
that's the oven.
Our oven timer is ready. I usually get the 24 pack so that you can just feed more people. And it's always easier to cut through these rolls if you have a bread knife.
I'm glad you're doing that and not me.
Yeah.
Especially on camera. I'd be so nervous I wouldn't cut it straight.
And that's a good thing about these rolls is that it doesn't take a lot of cooking expertise. This is something great for you to teach kids how to make, especially before they go to college, because I'll tell you, I've had a lot of college kids do this. So we've got our rolls cut in half, and we are going to layer our deli meat. And so I always get Cajun turkey and honey ham, because there's a little spicy, a little sweet, and it adds a lot of flavor.
Yeah. Spicy and sweet.
So,
one of my favorite combos. Yeah.
This is mild cheddar. You can do any kind of cheese you'd like. I don't always do sliced cheese. I like freshly shredded cheese more often, but I wanted to be quick with this today. So we have our mild cheddar, and you can't have too much cheese in my opinion, but
never.
I think other people might think that you can. So you want to cover the whole roll there. Okay, and then we close it up. Now, one of the secrets to this, one of our tips I'll say, and many of you probably have your own roll sandwich recipes. Have you made roll sandwiches like this?
Yeah, but not necessarily like that.
Like this one. So the key is to cut them before you bake them.
Okay.
So then, because when you cut them after, everything's kind of sliding around and everything. So if you cut them before, then you have a great grab opportunity for people at a party. These are a great thing if you wanted to make them, but wait to bake them until you got to the party. That would be something easy to do.
Yeah.
Got to hold them down better when.
Plus, sometimes you got to grab them fast, so you don't want old slow cousin Bobby to get your
the good piece.
Yeah, the good piece.
What if you like a center piece and everybody else likes an outside piece?
Yeah. So while Brooke is melting the butter, you know how we always like to talk about everybody welcome to the table. Let's talk about some substitutions. Now for me, for cheese substitution, just hear me out on this. Go with me. I like to take avocado and slice it up and maybe even cream it a little bit and spread it over. Put some salt and pepper on it. It makes an excellent cheese substitute, and it's also creamy. Of course, you can substitute any meat you want or non-meat. You can put, if you don't want to put ham or chicken or whatever, you can always put many different options like silken tofu. You can put zucchini, vegetables like that, and you saute them. You can do anything. I mean, the sky's the limit.
So before we put the butter on these rolls, we're going to transfer them to foil. And what we're doing with this foil is we're kind of making a steaming pack for it so that it cooks and everything's really soft. And then at the end of cooking, we will take the lid off of this and let it get a little crispy.
I'm excited.
So, one more. There we go. So we lay our foil out, and since we did cut our loaf all up earlier, we're going to have to be very careful how we transfer these.
You know, this is probably not very holy to say, but we used to have communion with Hawaiian bread, and I personally was a little bit sad when we went away from the Hawaiian bread on the communion.
We did. We changed it up after COVID.
Yeah.
To kind of allow people to bring a variety of breads in. So we've got our rolls transferred over. And Diane was saying earlier, one of the substitutions you could make in this sandwich is maybe zucchini and squash. And so if you slice that zucchini and squash real thinly on like a mandolin, so you'll get a good thin slice, and you put that in a bowl, you'll put salt on top of it and let it sit for a little bit, and then you lay it out on paper towels, and it takes all that extra moisture.
Oh, and that's so true. Zucchini can be so wet sometimes.
So it takes a lot of that moisture out of your zucchini.
Oh,
and so that could be for these sandwiches, but especially for zucchini lasagna, if you're making that.
Yeah.
So you want to keep that in mind.
I'm getting more and more hungry.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to take our butter here, and I have our little...
It's hiding.
Here we go. Our brush, and we want to really butter these rolls. So the good thing about cutting them all up before we bake them is that you can get this butter really in the cracks of these rolls. And you want to cover that top. Again, if you were doing a substitution, you could use olive oil. You definitely want a good flavor on that olive oil.
You could put some, like Mrs. Dash or something like that on the... I don't know if anybody these days is using avocado oil, but that's my big thing now. I'm just really into avocado oil.
I think that's great.
Days. Yeah.
We do that. We do a lot of coconut oil as well.
Oh, yeah.
And you can get just a variety of flavors with those oils.
Just the butter on the Hawaiian bread smells so good.
It's really good. These are very sinful once you get done. Okay, so then our final ingredient, and this is what makes the whole thing, is zesty Italian. This is the Good Seasons Italian dressing mix. And so it's meant to be just to make Italian dressing. But we're going to take this and we are going to sprinkle it all over our rolls here. And then we're going to seal this up.
That smells good.
And we will bake at 350 for 20 minutes. And then we'll take our lid off and bake it for about 5 minutes just so it gets a little crispy on the top.
Okay, so now as the yummy sandwiches are baking that Brooke has made, I'm going to talk a little bit about deviled eggs. I know that's not like the super exciting thing. I know that Easter is coming up, so we're talking about eggs. But really, most important, eggs are something that most people can eat, and it's very friendly to whoever wants to come and eat at your table, unless you're a vegan, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at some other time. But before I want to start, we talk a lot about food and why people come to the table, and really, feeding us is such a soulful thing to do. When you think about so many times whenever there were large crowds of people in the Bible, the feeding of the 4,000, the feeding of the 5,000, just think about the Israelites in the desert for 40 years and manna fell down from heaven. God knew that when there's large groups of people, you got to feed them, because even though you may not be gathering for the food, we're humans, and He made us to be hungry and to feed ourselves. And lots of times you can get attention. You can love and care for somebody as you're feeding them, and it opens their hearts and their souls for more conversation or different things that need to be had that are going to feed us spiritually as well. So an egg is a very beautiful thing. It's got just about everything it needs to create life, and actually a life will come from an egg if you allow it to hatch. And I know I've talked before in the past about I was a single mom, and for about 6 months I was on WIC when my daughters were really little, and we got a lot of eggs. We got so many eggs, I didn't know what to do with all of them. And so I started making deviled eggs to just about every party I went to. And so I did a couple things, and everybody kept on saying, oh my gosh, bring your eggs, they're so good. And I actually didn't think they were that good. I just kind of winged it, but I'll show you what I do. So you boil a bunch of eggs. I've got 12 here. Nothing earth-shattering what I'm going to do, but I just cut them in half, pop the yellows into the bowl, which I'm going to do here. If you kind of squeeze it, you guys probably already know this, but the yellow just kind of pops out. Sometimes you get a hard-boiled egg that isn't perfect. That's okay. Like this one's got like a strange divot in it. That's okay. And I'll tell you why here in just a second. I'm going to try to take the most perfect whites and put them in here. So these ones right here that aren't exactly perfect, I might just put them aside until I can get this whole egg plate full of perfect whites or imperfect. It depends on what you want to present to your guests, and that's fine. So I'm putting all these eggs in here in the yellows. Boy, these yellows are nice and bright. I think this is because I got Happy Eggs. I've noticed whenever I buy those Happy Egg brands, the yellows are bright white. So anyway, you're going to come across some eggs sometimes that don't peel very well or look really weird. I don't know if you can see this one. It looks really weird. And when we peeled it, the yellow was actually coming out. Those are my favorite ones. I'm going to take this whole egg yolk out because what I like to do is overstuff my deviled eggs. And how you overstuff them is you get more yellows than whites. And then it's very decadent because you've filled it up so wonderfully. So I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to get all of these eggs. As you can see, my plate is running out of egg spots. I don't know what these little cups are called, but you can keep on going. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put these here. I should actually on this show everybody all the egg plates I have because I've made deviled eggs for so long, and my family loves my deviled eggs so much that I actually get egg plates as gifts. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I've got an Easter egg plate back in the corner. I have an egg plate that is white and it says the devil made me do it. I should have that one out. It's one of my favorite egg plates. And then of course this red one here, which is always very nice. Okay, so nothing earth-shattering, but I've got all these beautiful egg whites, and the camera is not lying. They really are this bright yellow. They're absolutely beautiful. I take a pastry fork and I just start crushing it until it just turns into yellow dust. And I know that this is nothing earth-shattering, that everybody makes deviled eggs, and that's completely fine. I just want to show you what my recipe is. The more you do this, the more it turns into yellow dust. And if you boil the eggs, sometimes the egg yolks get kind of tough and stiff and don't turn into dust as easily, but these were boiled very nicely by my husband. So what I do is I've got 12 egg yolks in here. I take 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise, and it has to be real mayonnaise. Don't use Miracle Whip. And I'm particular to Hellmann's mayonnaise, but if you want to do Duke's or Kraft or whatever, that's fine. Now this is very scientific here, okay? You take yellow mustard and you squirt a line. That's what I say. I've written it in recipe books. I gave this to my niece one time and she goes, "Aunt Diane, how much mustard?" I'm like, you just take the squeezed mustard and you squirt a line. Okay, so I don't know how much that is. I'll guess a tablespoon. But you squirt a line, and then you put enough pepper in there that you can see it get kind of peppery on the mayonnaise. Not very much salt. Mayonnaise already has a lot of salt. And you just stir it all up. That's all you do. Stir it up. The mayonnaise gives it the creaminess, the mustard gives it the tang, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. And you stir it up till it's creamy, and as you stir it, it keeps on getting more creamy. If there's any little bits of yellow from the egg yolk that the pastry fork didn't get, this will continue. Just keep it from getting more creamy. So, then what I like to do is I like to take a little bit of a cookie scoop, melon baller, whatever you call it, the smallest one. This one is about 2 tablespoons. And I take a big scoop, I put it here, and then I take another little scoop and I put it next to it. The reason why I do scoops is because if you put it in a piping bag, which I've done it before, and I still might do it, but you waste a lot of the yellow when you put it in a piping bag, and I don't like to waste any of the yellow because I actually think the yellow is what it makes it taste so good. So that's why, but it's up to you however you want to do it. I still may do a piping bag every once in a while, but you can see how big I scoop these. Sometimes I'll just do even a bigger scoop, and really what I should do first is scoop into all the holes and then just fill up the rest, because the good stuff is yet to come, the garnishes. And that's where you can get really fun, and you can get really creative depending on the holiday or the season or the reason why people have come to your house to eat, or why you're bringing food to somebody else at their house. But see how easy that just comes out? So easy, your hands don't get real goopy. I used to just take a spoon, and now I'm going to start filling these more. I used to take a spoon and with my finger and then just slide it on. Well, it's kind of gross, and then I also felt like, well, maybe it's not real sanitary for it to do it that way either. So I just keep on filling them. These guys over here are really sad because they're not getting filled up like these are. But I just want to do this to show you how full you can get it and how much people like that. So everybody always likes my eggs because they're so full. Now I will show you some of the things you can do. Now here's the tip and here's the trick. When I was making deviled eggs for a lot of people and I didn't have a lot of money, one time when I was garnishing them, I looked for the paprika, because that's how you're always supposed to garnish deviled eggs, at least according to Betty Crocker. And I didn't have any paprika. And I looked in my cabinet, okay, what's kind of red and dusty? Well, this seasoned salt. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. So I sprinkled a little seasoned salt on it. And I'm going to tell you what, people just raved about my deviled eggs, and it was because I didn't have paprika one day and I sprinkled them with seasoned salt. Try it. So I always do mine with seasoned salt, and then I have fun with the garnishes. So something you can do is you can put chives on. Now these are dried chives. I really suggest that if you have fresh chives, it's even better. You can put some chives on top. So I'm going to do that to a few of them. Capers are really good. If you know what capers are, they're the little flower stamens on saffron. And they are pickly and briny, and they make for some beautiful deviled eggs as well. So you can do that. You can make the kids happy and make these eyeballs and then make a mouth with some, maybe some pimentos or something like that. Another thing you can do is you can put bacon. This is Canadian bacon. You can do something like that and put some Canadian bacon on there. And then anything else you can think. I'm going to go ahead and put a few more chives on there. Maybe a few more capers. Anything you want to put on your deviled eggs. Pickles, pimentos like I mentioned, or anything that you like, that you think your family would like. And it's kind of fun to have different varieties on there as well. So those are my deviled eggs. You can make what you want, but all it is real mayonnaise, a line of mustard, as I like to say, some pepper, very light on the salt, if any, and then please put seasoned salt. It'll change your life, and you'll never use paprika on your eggs again. Most of all, feed the souls, and so their souls can be fed, and it'll work wonders for everything in life. So Brooke has her sandwiches out, and oh my goodness,
Smells
they
good.
look and smell amazing. And why don't you try your sandwiches?
Okay.
I'm going to let you do that.
You can't try a sandwich because you don't.
I know. I think you put ham on there on
I
purpose
did.
so you can eat all of them.
They're very hot. But
They look amazing.
the great thing,
Look at the cheese coming down from it.
you can kind of see that cheese dripping. But when that cheese is melty, they're just perfect. They're great leftover. You can pop them in the microwave.
I think that they'd be great for like a little lunch. You could take 2 or 4 with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think our magic number, we always start with 2, which is why I make 24 when we make them, and kind of go from there. But most people try to get 4 in. That's kind of
Yeah,
the number
yeah.
people want. So I'm so excited to taste the deviled eggs.
I'm excited to see which ones you choose. Are you choosing the Canadian bacon, the chives, just the plain salt, or the capers?
It's really hard. It is really hard. I'm going to go with the capers.
Yay!
Because I love a little bit of a dill flavor.
Yeah.
Which those capers provide.
And be careful because you're going to get your nose yellow.
I know.
I like
it's
to fill
like
them so high.
It's like eating a cupcake.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I'm going to eat one. I'm going to eat a chive one.
Okay.
They're overly full.
So the great thing,
You were too ladylike. You got to open your mouth big like I did.
I'm gonna overanalyze the eggs.
Yeah, do. I want to get
And
this.
I love it because you can definitely taste the line of mustard. I'm not kidding. You can really taste like it's.
And thank you for using my terminology.
Yes.
Line of mustard.
It's just the right amount of mustard, and because you didn't mix any other vegetables or anything in the base of the egg, you can really taste that yolk and how fluffy it is. So it really does make a difference. And then the seasoning salt. Okay, I was questioning the seasoning salt because I brought smoked paprika back from Israel, so I was like, I love smoked paprika. But it is great. You should definitely do.
It really is. It makes a difference.
The
and
seasoning
it's still
salt.
red, so.
I love that you came up with that just out of necessity. I
Necessity
didn't have
is
it.
the mother invention.